Hi friends, it's reading Reveries time again. Today's pick is this book, Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom. And it's a very popular book. I'm sure many of you must have heard about it, or some of you may have read it also. If not, then it's highly recommended that you pick up this book and read. It's very beautiful. It's about a student who had a favorite teacher in his college days, a teacher, guide, mentor, philosopher, who really understood him very well when he was young and impassioned, and helped him understand the world a little better by his guidance and wisdom, showing him the profoundness of life. And he loses this writer Mitch Albom loses track of the teacher as the years pass by. After his graduation from the university. So suddenly 20 years later, one day he finds out that the teacher is terminally ill and he's going to die very soon. He decides to rekindle his relationship with him, and he starts visiting him on every Tuesday, in his bid to absorb whatever last bits of wisdom and knowledge, everything that he had the teacher had to share with him, like he used to share it during the college days. So he starts visiting him every Tuesday, and they start talking about various aspects of life, like love, regrets, being sorry about oneself, emotions, relationships, death, marriage, etc. And all these conversations on every Tuesday have been documented in the form of this book as various chapters. It's a very good book. Gives you a new lease of life, in your moments of in your low moments, feelings of despair and dejection. So in this particular chapter that I'm going to read to you, they are talking about emotions, and this is the sixth Tuesday when they talk about emotions. And Morrie here is exhorting Mitch to become detached, So they're talking about detachment and emotions. He says, don't cling to things, Mitch, because everything is impermanent. That is what Buddhists say. So he says, the writer says, aren't you always talking about experiencing life, all the good emotions, all the bad ones? So he says, yes. Well, how can you do that if you're detached? You're thinking, Mitch, says Morrie. So this bit is particularly the one that I like. But detachment doesn't mean that you don't let the experience penetrate you. On the contrary, you let it penetrate you fully. That's how you're able to leave it. I'm lost. So the writer says, I don't understand what you're saying. He starts explaining. Take any emotion, love for a woman, or grief for a loved one, or what I'm going through, pain and suffering from a deadly illness. If you hold back on the emotions, if you don't allow yourself to go all the way through them, you can never get to being detached. You're too busy being afraid. You're afraid of the pain, you're afraid of the grief, you're afraid of the vulnerability the loving entails. But by throwing yourself into these emotions, by allowing yourself to dive in all the way, over your head even, you experience them fully and completely. You know what pain is. You know what love is. You know what grief is. Only then you can say, all right, I have experienced the emotion. I recognize that emotion. Now I need to detach from that emotion for a moment. I know you think this is just about dying, Morrie said, but it's like I keep telling you. When you learn how to die, you learn how to live. So the writer says, I keep thinking, and I thought about how often this was needed in everyday life. It's very relevant actually. We say when somebody loses a dear one, we say, don't grieve, it's okay, it'll be okay. No, we should not say that. We should let the person grieve. The only remedy for grief is to grieve, That's what the writer also starts pondering upon. He says, I thought about how often this was needed in everyday life, how we feel lonely. sometimes to the point of tears. But we don't let those tears come because we are not supposed to cry. Or how we feel a surge of love for a partner, but we don't say anything because we are frozen with fear of what those words might do to the relationship. Morrie's approach is exactly the opposite. Turn on the faucet, he says. Wash yourself with the emotion. It won't hurt you, it will only help. If you let the fear inside, if you pull it on like a familiar shirt, then you can say to yourself, all right, it's just fear. I don't have to let it control me. I see it for what it is. Same for loneliness. Let go, let the tears flow, feel it completely, but eventually be able to say, all right, that was my moment with loneliness. I'm not afraid of feeling lonely anymore. Now I'm going to put that loneliness aside and know that there are other emotions in the world and I'm going to experience them as well. Tell me how you like it. Thank you.